Morning, Andy.
Good morning.
Hi, Joey.
Hello. I definitely didn't accidentally go to the English seminar.
Well, at least you remembered there was an English seminar. I'm just going to play with my share screen for a sec. You guys have a good long weekend? Andy, were you up at your cottage?
Yeah, we were up there for most of the weekend.
Hey, it was a pretty beautiful weekend, eh?
Yeah, not so nice today.
Right. Did you have the Fry Shack open?
Yeah, we did on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Oh, wow. Busy days for you.
Yeah, so we just came home yesterday, and then we're leaving again on Thursday.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's busy time, but it's all good.
All good. All right. Just give another minute or so. Hopefully we have a full class today. I did look at your thesis statements for history. I know we've got English essays due and history essays starting. I was kind of hoping to have one done and the other starting to keep it straight in our brains, but this is life. And if we were, yeah, it's good for you to juggle that. It is hard sometimes, but good for you and me to juggle this. So I did make comments right in Edsby on your thesis. Hopefully you got those and you could take a moment now to read them if you wanted to do that, and we'll just give another minute for our team to show up. Just gonna quickly check that I didn't get a message about.
There's no comments on my thesis.
Can you check again, Joey? Because I did just type those in. You might have to pull up your assessment and you'll see teacher comment.
Yeah, it's in Edsby, not on the Google Doc itself.
Right, because yours hadn't permitted me to make any comments on the document. The editing wasn't open. So
It says it.
You're sure, Joey?
I'm pressing my work.
Just take a sec and make sure it's your thesis you're looking at.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And it hasn't even been graded on my Edsby. The last thing was the Bonhoeffer or Ten Bloom discussion. That's the last graded thing on my Edsby.
Yeah, it wasn't graded, but it's at the bottom, Joey, and just click the little blue comment thing.
I'm clicking share now, so you
there it is.
See your mark and your comment. Okay, so take a sec, and I can't really answer all of the questions there right now, but we can answer those together. I mean, I can't click all those little boxes right now, but let's, I'm gonna go back to Zoom and make sure no one else has joined. Okay, Ryan was on a couple of minutes ago. I got a notification, so I don't know if maybe his internet conked out, but if you wanted to text people that you think they're usually here, you are welcome to do that now. I'm going to share screen and pull up my, let's see, let me just move this out of the way. Pull up my slides to just walk us through this.
Mrs. Ong?
Yeah.
Do you have my Mussolini Hitler obituary report?
I do. I have your hard copy. I have a pile of marking.
Okay.
And
it still says on my Edsby that it's overdue.
Okay,
just
just
wondering.
because you submitted it in
Yeah.
hard copy, not online, but I do have your hard copy. It had been one of the things that I did ask for an online submission, so that's why it's telling you it's overdue, but I do have it. We'll mark it and it won't be late because I did
Okay.
receive it on time. Unless, yeah, I have to verify that. I'm pretty sure I received it on time. Okay, so let's take a look at your essay topics. One of them.
I think Kasena's coming, by the way.
Okay, great. I'll just keep going for those of you who are here. And she'll just slide in when I let her in, which hopefully I can see that she needs and wants to come in. Okay, so the main difference I want to talk to you about with your research essay for history is that you are going to be using other sources. So in English, I've said, don't use other sources. Don't look up Cole's notes. Don't look at anything else. What we've done in class, your textbook or your text, which is either Merchant of Venice in this case, or previously To Kill a Mockingbird, that's all I want you to use. Because if you look up Spark Notes, Cole's Notes, or someone else's brilliant essay that they have for sale for you to buy online, and you're like, I just need some ideas, you are inadvertently probably going to end up using their terms, their understanding in a way that I'm not asking for, and you may inadvertently plagiarize. Okay, so I have typically asked you not to look up, hi Sen, I've typically asked you not to look up in your English essays anyone else's information. What we've done in class in your text is all I wanted you to use. The difference between a literary essay and a research essay is I need you to research because you don't know enough about Normandy, you don't know enough about the Holocaust or the steps that led to it. You know a little bit because we covered it in class, but you probably don't know enough to write a well-researched paragraph on that. So the key difference you need to understand is I'm asking you to research. This is a research essay, and you're going to pull the information that you research and you're going to what's called synthesize it, you're going to summarize it, or you're going to directly quote it. Any one of those things. The point is, I'm going to see a bibliography page that has a lot of resources. That's the difference. So your Shakespeare essay, I'm probably just going to have I'm just going to see Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. Maybe you use a quote in your intro or conclusion, so I'll see that. I'm going to see one or two citations. That's it. The difference in history is I should see like 5 or 6 different resources that you're using in your works cited page and that you're citing in your essay. So that is the key difference I want at the beginning you to understand. This is a research essay. You know very little about Normandy, even though we covered it a bit and you researched a bit. So if you research that well, that might be all that you need. If you went to Wikipedia and you copied and pasted and that was your research, you're going to need to do some more research. Okay, so I'm looking at the number of sources you're using, and I'm looking at the quality of sources. So that's why we're going to talk about that today. So in your instructions, I had said, hey, Wikipedia is good for what is she even talking about? So I've used Wikipedia in the course of teaching this to be like, what was that again? Oh yeah, I get it now. So Wikipedia is like a dictionary. It's your starting place for, oh, and sometimes it has in its margins or at the bottom, the sources it's used to write that article. Use those if those are scholarly. I've encouraged you to go to history.com, Britannica, Canadian Encyclopedia. Those are great. So you're not writing a master's thesis on this. You do not need to go to scholarly journals that have been peer reviewed. That will come in time. Right now, I'm just asking you to not use Wikipedia because it's just the starting place. You need to get past Wikipedia and our dependency on it, and you need to get to more scholarly sources, but those can still be encyclopedias. I'm not asking you to read a book about Normandy. Okay, that will come as you go on to study and write essays in your different fields, but that is not right now. Right now, I'm simply asking you to go to more scholarly sites. Okay, so these were your 4 topics. In the topics, I gave you your statement or position. So I gave you the first part of your thesis for each one of these, and I simply wanted you to choose based on your understanding, and maybe you were having an off day and you didn't do one of the tasks that I gave you to do on your independent block days. So I'm lobbing it to you. I'm saying, don't choose that one then. If you didn't do the 3 battles, if you didn't do Canada on the home front, if you didn't do that, I'm saying in your essay, don't make it harder than you need to by saying, okay, I'm going to go and do that now and write my essay. Choose the stuff you understand. That's why I gave you 4 topics. Choose the thing that you're interested in. So I'm assuming all of you did that in your essay, but if you didn't, I would really encourage you, just take the easy way in this. Take the thing that interests you. You're going to write a better paper. So most of you chose either Canada's significant contributions to World War II or decisive battles in World War II that altered the course of the war. We did a different day for each of those. So most of you did that. The only areas of tweaking would be some of you made your thesis, 2 sentences. I have not named any names. I have used your theses, a couple of your theses in these examples, but you do not have to self-declare that this is yours. So let's work on this one together. In World War II, 3 very decisive battles are the Battle of Britain, the Battle of the Atlantic, and D-Day. These battles had very key factors in the turning of the war. This has great path statements. So we see right here, Battle of Britain, Battle of the Atlantic, D-Day. Awesome. Those are 3 key battles. Perfect. What is the concern with this thesis, though?
It's more than 1 sentence.
Right. So if we were going to switch this up, and tweak it and make it better, what could we do to make it 1 sentence? And it also doesn't have its position in here. It doesn't have its position at the front of these 3 ways it's going to prove this. How could we meld those 2 together? Andy, can you think of a way that we can put the position statement in before these 3 decisive battles?
That's what I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think of a good way to put that in.
Okay.
I thought our thesis was like supposed to be 2 or 3 sentences, not just 1, because it's really hard to fit in a 3 decisive battles or contributions or whatever, and put in your stance. Like,
Okay.
how do you put in a stance? Your stance is just that these are important. Here's why, and then you explain that in the body paragraphs.
Okay. So just to clarify, you maybe it hasn't sunk in. That's totally fine. But a thesis has always been 1 sentence. You definitely need sentences leading up to your thesis to make it make sense in your introduction, but that's what your introduction is for. That's why your introduction is 6 to 8 sentences long, and it funnels down to that 1 thesis. So again, don't make this harder for you than it is. I lobbed this to you by giving you the position statement. So if we go back to these topics, you can use, there were 3 decisive battles in World War II that altered the course of the war. You could throw so let's just do this in real time here. and pop this in here. Okay, watch this. This is just one way to fix this. Okay, there were 3 decisive battles in World War II that altered the course of the war. The Battle of Britain, the Battle of the Atlantic, and D-Day. There is your position and the 3 ways you're going to prove it. So this is going to be body paragraph 1, this is going to be body paragraph 2, this is going to be body paragraph 3. Okay, so again, go back to, I gave you your position on this. I gave you the first part of your thesis, and I just asked you to fill in the 3 ways, and I'm even leaving it open so that you can choose the things that make the most sense to you. So some of you chose 3 battles. Some of you chose decision to even enter the war, and then like a couple of battles in terms of Canada's significant contributions, because Canada had a separate date that it entered the war from Britain because it was its own country by 1939. So if I have said, oh, your thesis needs to be one statement, or you need clarification, here's an example of 3 distinct paths, but they're a little too broad. Canada played an important role in the eventual Allied, and I just want to make this, I always see Allied, okay? It's never Allied, and it doesn't make sense necessarily, but it's always Allied victory, or Allied defenses, or Allied attack. So if you're going to use that term, just make sure it's always Allied, or allies with an S. Victory of World War II through their naval forces, the citizens paying higher taxes to support the effort, and the Royal Air Force. So we see the path statement. Canada plays an important role. Excellent. And then how they do it: naval forces, citizens paying higher taxes, and Royal Air Force. One of the concerns with this is it's too broad. So we have naval forces, but again, you could write a whole essay on the specific naval efforts or naval battles that Canada contributed to that helped turn the course of the war. So for this, I suggested like which naval battle or which naval decision or which naval evacuation. It can be any of those things, but you have to be specific because you only have 1 paragraph. Citizens paying higher taxes, great. So you're going to look at what Canadians at home did in order, what they ponied up to do in order to help that war effort. And then again, we've got RAF, so Royal Air Force. Just because Canada was involved in some of the RAF battles of distinction doesn't mean they were involved in all. So I do want you to be careful that you are using battles or raids that Canadians are known to be part of, because the RAF in general is British. Okay, so that's another thesis. Great paths, but they were too broad. We're going to look now at how to cite things specifically. So could you open up to your package? And I know it was a bit of a doozy and really just had to do with writing your essay. So your first page after your essay topics that you've already chosen and you've done your thesis on is plagiarism. So this is a bit heavy. We need to go through this. We're not going to go through the whole thing because it's right there in front of you, and that's going to be part of your task for either the end of today or tomorrow, is to read that. But plagiarism involves intentionally and unintentionally using another person's words or their ideas and presenting them as their own. So this could be as simple as you forgot to cite a source. That's unintentional, and I get it, it's still plagiarism. So if we think of this in our world today, if you unintentionally run a stop sign because you're new to the area and you didn't see it, you didn't know there was one there, you're still going to get charged if there's a police officer at that stop sign or at the other side and sees that. So again, I get intent matters, and maybe you'll get a lesser fine from the police officer if you say, I'm new, I didn't know. It's still a problem. Okay, so same with plagiarism. If you unintentionally, so you forget to cite a source, and I'm like, these do not sound like Sam Ong's words, and I look it up and I see, ooh, that's because it is Britannica's words, someone who's writing for Britannica. That's a problem. Okay, so I really want to set you up for success in this and telling you it's a research essay. So I'm not expecting you to have brilliant things to say about Normandy that are your own, because you're just learning this. You're just starting to get acquainted with this. So I want to at first like ease the pressure and say, I'm expecting you to research. I'm expecting you to cite other people's carefully sought out research. That's okay. I'm not wanting you to be an expert on this. And in fact, when you are being an expert on this, that's going to cause me to think, this doesn't sound like something Kasena normally says. I'll look it up. I'll look up that phrase and I may find that, oh, that's because Kasena didn't say this. So just again, talking you off the ledge, you're supposed to research. It's a research essay. But the other side of this is it's not just research. So you are summarizing, you're putting things in your own words, but you are always saying, hey, this is where I got this from at the end of those sentences. So I want to walk us through how to do that well. So just as we leave this page on plagiarism, reasons for students not to plagiarize. So that first point is I've assigned this so that you learn, absorb information, internalize it, understand it, explain it, not just research and write it. So as you're researching the battles that decided the outcome of World War II, you're learning more, you're hopefully being interested in that, and you're taking on those ideas and you're quoting them, you're summarizing them, and you're showing me where you got them from. So you want to show your own thinking, not just borrowed ideas. And you want to point, the point of documenting your sources is to demonstrate that you understand the information that you've researched. Okay, so you add your credibility. This is the second last bullet point in reasons not to plagiarize. You add your credibility by using your own thinking skills and analyzing what other people have said about the subject. Okay, so you're researching it, you're understanding it, you're quoting it, but then you're also, like I said in Merchant, you're setting that quote up with some of your own ideas. You're like, yeah, that's why this proves it was such a decisive battle. If they hadn't done this, or if this had failed, this would have, turned the tide in the other way for the World War II, for example. Yes, Sam.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused. You're running through reasons for students not to plagiarize, but you want us to plagiarize, right? For this, like, cite our sources.
Okay, that's not plagiarizing. Plagiarizing, remember, plagiarizing is when you take what you find on Britannica and you either forget to tell me, oh, this was Rob Donkers saying this, not Sam Ong, or you try to impress me and think this sounds so good, I'm not going to cite it. I'm going to let Mrs. Ong think I made these connections. Okay, I get it. I was a student I was a nerd student who wanted to impress my teachers. I wanted to do well. So there is always that pull of, ooh, this sounds really good. Wouldn't that be great if I had said that? You didn't. Okay. So yeah, that you don't want to plagiarize. I don't want you to plagiarize. That's why I'm giving you the tools and also reminding you it's research. You're supposed to consult other sources who are further along in their journey than you are. Does that answer your question, Sam?
Yes.
I have a question as well.
Yeah, sure.
I've had it before sometimes where I'm just writing my essay for like things that I know off the top of my head that I've like read in books or seen in like realistic history movies. But then I write it down and then I got flagged for plagiarism even though I didn't. How are we supposed to figure that out? Because I could just be writing about something that I know about Juno Beach or something like that. And then it might line up exactly with what Britannica says, even if I didn't go to Britannica.
Okay, so that's a very real question. Okay, so let me do this one to help answer that. Okay, Joey?
Okay.
So when I'm evaluating and I think, oh, that doesn't quite sound, so I'm just going to tell you, if I see through to the encirclement of the German army, I'm like, encirclement, wow, interesting word. I love it. Not typically one I would use or probably you would use. I might Google that whole thing. So if you have in your essay from D-Day landings on June 6th through the encirclement of the German army at Falaise on 21st of August, just like that, you have not seen that in a documentary, or that is right from this article on Canadian Encyclopedia, okay? If you tell me that D-Day lasted from June 6th to August 21st, that's maybe common knowledge if you're interested in D-Day. Do you see the difference in those things, Joey? So if you say something similar, like it was a pivotal event, I'm not going to look that up because yeah, it is pivotal. And if you look up in a thesaurus, other ways to say key, you're going to find pivotal. So I'm not, and trust me, I'm not trolling for trouble here. But it is important that you're accountable for what you say, and you need to know that in grade 10 in ways that you weren't in grade 7. Sometimes in grade 7 or 6, teachers were just happy if you consulted a source at all, and you got to copy and paste that because you were learning how to research. We're past that now. I anticipate, and I know you know how to research. I need you to know how to cite your research and to differentiate what are your thoughts and what are someone else's thoughts.
Yeah, but like when I'm writing essays like this, I tend to use larger words because it is an English or history essay. So like through to the encirclement of the German army at Falaise, that is something that I genuinely might say in an essay without actually going to the Canadian Encyclopedia.
Okay. So
would I still get flagged for plagiarism on that if I didn't intentionally plagiarize? Just, I was thinking it off the top of my head, and it's like almost word for word what it has there, just maybe without like a few connecting words.
okay, so again, if you have this in your essay, that's plagiarism. If you have these ideas moved around and you just know some of these dates off the top of your head, then but if you have this phrase, Joey, exactly word for word, it's going to flag as plagiarism, and we're going to have a discussion about that. So in that discussion, if you can talk a lot about Normandy and all the things that you know, I might say, oh, okay, Joey's just like a Normandy nerd. Like he loves it, he knows it. And this was if you use just the word encirclement, okay, I'm not going to ding you for that because I'm hoping you use great words. But if something about this does not sound like Joey Luth, and this is my second year teaching you, so I have an idea of what you guys sound like, taught you in a number of different courses. I'm not trying to scare you. And there will be a discussion about things, but I do need to let you know that there is a shift between elementary school, where we were just happy you knew how to research and you can copy and paste it and you don't need to cite a source at all, and high school. Okay, so I'm trying to walk this line of not wanting to scare you, but at the same time, you are accountable now in a way that you weren't in elementary school. So I'm going to move on. And if you have further questions about that, just email me. I'm not sure I'll be able to answer them any better than I have right now, but we're welcome to give that a try. When you get into, again, things like this, 150,000 Allied troops landed, including 14,000 Canadians. Those are statistics that almost no one has off the top of their head. And even if you think, I think I know that, you should look it up if you've seen it on a movie, or if you think you, I mean, I've looked up our lessons before reteaching it because I thought I remembered it, but I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the most accurate information. So before you write it down as proof of either Canada's prowess in World War II, or how significant their contributions were, or that this battle was really significant, you should look up your terms, look up your stats. You should do that. And so if you find, oh, it was 150, I had 140 stuck in my brain because of this 14,000, that's fine. Again, just cite it. I'm not expecting you to know off the top of your head. And the fact that you do know that will flag it for, is this a common thing that people your age with your interests know? Okay, so again, anytime you have a specific statistic like this, I should see a footnote at the end of that, and we'll get to footnotes in just 1 second. I should see that because that's not common knowledge. Things that are common knowledge, things that everyone knows or is expected to know in grade 10 history, those things are not, you don't need to cite those. So even the fact that Normandy was significant to the events of World War II is not necessarily something you need to cite. But when you get into the statistics and the casualties, these are not common information. That needs to be cited. Number of ships. So make a note to yourself, when I am citing specific information and statistics, that requires a citation. So if you are giving me stats, err on the side of caution. So even if you knew that and you looked it up and it confirmed, yes, that's true, use that cite. It's not taking away from your knowledge or understanding to say, I verified it and there it is. Yes, I was correct, but this is probably something not everyone knows, so I should cite it. Okay, so this is an example. I pulled this right off of, I Googled Canada's contribution to the Battle of Normandy, and the Canadian Encyclopedia had this article. And I think that's a good choice. So I went to it, I copied and pasted this right here. I'll see it in quotes. All of this is a quote. What you don't want to do in your essay is you do not want to say, bam, there it is. See, there's my proof, Mrs. Ong. Just like I've encouraged you in your merchant essays, you have to transition, you have to lead up to the quote. You have to show me that you know why you're including this quote. And this is far too long of a quote. If you're quoting something that's more than 2 to 3 lines, remember you're only writing a paragraph. So you want me to know that you understand what you're talking about. So again, make a note, keep your quotes 2 to 3 lines. Just keep it short, only quote what's absolutely necessary and summarize the rest in your own words where you will be footnoting this quote anyway. Okay, so if this is the quote, This is the site. I just took a picture of that. So the device I'm working on allows me to take a picture of this. What I wanted you to see is on this site, we have an author. You need this for your bibliography later, or your works. We call it bibliography. This is Chicago style. It's very confusing. That's just the way it is. English things use MLA. Social sciences use Chicago style. So history uses Chicago style ways of formatting and citing. So here we have, the article is by Richard Foote. We have its published original date. I'm asking you to use the last edited. So some won't. Maybe it was published in 2018 and no one has reviewed it to make sure it is still accurate today and it doesn't contain anything that people have found to be discredited. Okay, so here is the little article right here. So here is me integrating it into my essay. So if you look here, the invasion of Normandy was a key turning point in the war that Canadians played, let me just see if I can move, a significant part of. Canadians were involved in all aspects of the invasion, See how I'm working up to how to include this quote in my research. So I am transitioning into the quote. I'm not just like parachuting it in, going boom, mic drop, there you go. You need to always, whether it's merchant or whether it's history, you need to transition to your quote. Maybe you're summarizing your quote. Maybe you're setting it up in a way that makes its significance stand out. The point here is for me to know that you understand the significance of your quote. That goes for English as well as history. You never just mic drop a quote, never. And we're going to talk about that a little more in English. So I have set this off with a colon. Here's the quote. Canadian sailors, soldiers, and airmen played a critical role in the Allied invasion of Normandy. Okay, so I'm going to go back to a different screen here that I want to bring up. And actually at this point, can I have you guys log out, and we are going to log back into the seminar because there is more that we need to cover here. So sorry, I often end at the 40-minute mark, but if you could log out now, and I'll see you back shortly.